Columns is a 1990 port on the Sega Genesis of an arcade game from 1989, which itself was a port of a Motorola phone game. Being a puzzle game with falling objects, it's not hard to make parallels with the popular game Tetris. However, once you get into the thick of it, you'll soon notice it's very different in tactics and gameplay. When you fire up the game, you can choose straight up arcade mode, or try two new console-specific modes. As soon as you fire up arcade mode, it lets you choose from easy, medium, or hard difficulty. And that's about it for options. The goal is to match 3 or more gems in straight lines to make them disappear. You have to do this as long as possible as the game gets faster and faster, ending if any column touches the top of the play area. One of the new modes is just called Original Game, which plays exactly like arcade, but you can adjust more parameters and choose one of the 3 available music tracks. The other new mode, called Flash Columns, is a bit of a puzzler where you have to clear away stacks of gems to eliminate the flashing gem at the bottom. It's a timed game, and the difficulty settings can raise up the stacks of gems to start. After about an hour of gameplay, I was starting to get a bit bored of it, but what can you expect from a puzzle game from the late 80s? It's not bad gameplay, it can just get repetitive for some people. That Flash Columns mode seems like it would be fun to keep trying to improve your time though. Columns gameplay gets a 6 out of 10. As soon as you fire up the game, you see a Greek inspiration for the visuals of this game. It makes sense since Greek engineers really liked their columns on full display in their architecture. The panels surrounding the play area are pretty basic, if not a bit drab. However, I would argue that this is on purpose to let the brighter colors of the gems stand out. Once the game speed really got fast, you appreciate the fact that each type of gem has its own color and shape to quickly identify. The play area also has a grid that really helps with those quick decisions on how to arrange the gems. The font of the text could have used another pass. It's possible they were trying to stylize a bit, but it just ended up looking like ugly words and scores. The graphics of Columns gets a 6 out of 10. Well, if you're feeling a bit on the religious side, just fire this game up and the music will make you feel like you're in a gothic church. I always found the music selection to be an odd choice for a puzzle game, and yet it gave off a vibe that I can't really describe other than comfortable? There certainly are parts of all 3 tracks though that hit too high of a pitch. 1 minute you're in a zone and the next you want to cover your ears because of how sharp the music suddenly got. The sound effects work well and are satisfying to hear. The sparkle of destroyed gems lets you feel like you're making progress. The slamming sound of the gem columns as they fall can hold both a satisfying but also scary feeling to them. You're either feeling good that you can control the drop so well, or panicking because the columns keep stacking uncontrollably. The music and sound of Columns gets a 6 out of 10. Columns is one of the first Genesis games I actually owned. As a Nintendo kid, I didn't get the Sega product until much later in its life cycle. By then, there were a lot of combo packs sold in stores. I remember getting this while my family and I were on vacation to the west coast of Canada. Looking back, it was a really randomly timed purchase, but I didn't complain. Even though it came with 2 games and the other had more to offer, I actually ended up playing this a lot on that trip, only starting the other game upon returning home. Now here's a crazy memory association about this trip too. My sister and I had bunk beds available on this trip, and she took the top. One night, she somehow slipped through the barrier and fell off while sleeping. Even crazier, she wasn't crying. She wasn't even that hurt. She was just laughing. Of course, I bolted for Mom and Dad's room and was happy she was alright, thankfully making this more of a funny memory rather than a scary one. The nostalgia hit of Columns gets a 5 out of 10. Columns may not play like that other popular puzzle game, but Sega did a good job snatching this property up. It went on to have 2 more sequels and numerous clones made of it throughout the decades. The gameplay can be addictive, and it may take a bit of time to get used to some visuals and the music, but it's definitely worth a try. You may be surprised how long you actually spend with it.